everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm a cosy mystery author, and today I thought I would read chapter 2 from Doughnuts. I actually read chapter 1 yesterday, which you can catch on my stream here. This is Doughnuts. This is a culinary cozy mystery set in the fictional ski resort of Val D'Isera in the Austrian Alps, and this is the book here. I actually wrote this while I was homeless back in 2018, and it's the very first cozy mystery I ever wrote, so a very special book to me. This is the cover. It's available in ebook, audiobook, regular print, large print and hardback, and you can get the t-shirts as well, so lots and lots of merch. But there we go. This is the inside. Lots of fun images inside as well. Lots of little donuts. And this follows the story of Maddie and Eloise, who are best friends from Oxford in England. And they want to one day start their own detective agency. So yeah, I thought I would read a little bit to you. I'm not an actor or a narrator or anything like that. I just wrote the story. So excuse my voices. Hopefully I'll get the characters okay. And I hope that you enjoy it. You can actually get the audiobook for free with a free trial of Audible. So the link is there as well if you want to get a free copy. It's narrated by Kim Breton, who does the voices much better than me. And I've also got my Inspector Poirot. This is my cat Artemis, who's asleep behind me. My hoodie on as well. So if you're looking for a nice comfortable hoodie, I could recommend this one with my own design. Anyway, I hope you're having a really nice day, and don't forget to follow me if you want to find more. I'm writing lots of new cozy mystery books, and yeah, I love writing them. Who doesn't love a murder mystery without the blood, the guts, the gore, without swearing and without any kind of on-stage violence or anything like that? So these are just feel-good books to cheer up your day, especially if it's a bit rainy outside, which it's actually not too bad here in England today. It's quite nice. But anyway, I'm going to read chapter 2. I hope you like it, and feel free to leave me any questions or messages as well, and follow me. I'm going to be reading a new chapter all the way through the whole of this book, so you'll get to hear all of it, and I hope that you enjoy it. So yesterday we read chapter 1, and we just met Maddie and Eloise. They just picked up their A-level results in the summer from St Winifred's School in Oxford, England, and now they are on their way to Mrs Tiggywinkle's coffee shop, which is owned by Mrs B. So yeah, let's get into the story, and I hope you enjoy it. And here we go. Chapter 2. Mrs Tiggywinkle's coffee shop, Oxford, England, the 16th of August 2018. No matter what day it was or what the weather was like, the city of Oxford was busy. Wherever you turned your ear, you could hear a babbling conversation. A summer camp student sent to Oxford to learn English on an intensive course, or a tourist stopping abruptly in the middle of the pavement to exclaim how wonderful the Yellowstone architecture was on some old college building. It was no wonder the words of Oscar Wilde suddenly rang in my ears as I walked through the city's streets. Oxford still remains the most beautiful thing in England, and nowhere else are life and art so exquisitely blended, so perfectly made one. Mr. Wilde was not wrong, and it suddenly dawned on me that it would be hard to leave our home now that the next stage of our life was about to begin. We dreamed of a gap year abroad after our exams for years, but now it was here. I found my tummy all aflutter with excitement and nervousness in equal measure. One step at a time, Eddie, I reminded myself. Mind you, I could just be hungry. I turned down lunch because of my exam result nerves, and now my appetite had returned with a vengeance. one of Mrs. B's pastries would certainly hit the spot. I could tell from Eloise's expression that her thoughts were along the same lines as mine. We had both been lost in our imaginations, but were brought back to the present as we stopped on the pavement across from Mrs. Tigwinkle's and waited for the traffic lights to turn red. The coffee shop looked like something from a chocolate box painting, a large glass window, small awning, and resting against the wall were the black frame bicycles with their little wicker baskets. After what seemed like an eternity, the traffic lights turned to red, and we rushed across the road as quickly as we could before the beeps finished their racy tune. It was going to be weird living in another country where even the day-to-day trivial things would be so different from the hustle and bustle of Oxford city living. Eloise sighed as her excitement of the exam results turned to reflection. "You know, I'll be sad to leave this place, Maddie." She pushed open the glass door, the latch giving a little click before a small bell tinkled overhead. The coffee shop was heaving with exhausted tourists ready for refreshment and some time off their feet after pounding the pavements all morning. The coffee shop buzzed and echoed as visitors exchanged stories of museum visits and showed off their recent souvenir purchases. I giggled inwardly as I imagined them as conquerors or pirates, now delighting in their treasure or spoils, and I wondered whether Eloise and I would be like that when we visited another country. I couldn't imagine such things for too long. My brain was good, but it was not quite capable enough of maintaining a dreamlike state whilst walking through the throng of coffee shop customers. The place was back to back with chairs and shopping bags, and it took a little longer than usual to make our way to the counter, where our boss, Mrs. B, was rushed off her feet. We were convinced that Mrs. B had a sixth sense, because no matter how busy the place was, she always knew when we were there, even without averting her gaze from the plate she was piling high with scones, jam and fresh clotted cream from a local dairy where her husband worked. We were barely through the door before she was calling us across the coffee shop to us. We were sure going to miss her in our new jobs. Mrs. B handed a plate of rich chocolatey eclairs to a quiet, nervous-looking Japanese man and smiled at him. I have to get my Japanese now. Arigato gashimata, she offered, flashing him a wry smile. It took her a matter of seconds to free up her hands, suddenly raising them to her face in exclamation as she greeted us like an excited mother hen. "Oh, girl," she exclaimed, "I've been thinking about you all day. How did you get on? I bet you both did splendidly. I'm so proud of you. You've worked incredibly hard. Great things are waiting for you two, of that I'm certain." Mrs. B spoke quickly. Frankly, I was surprised that she had found an opportunity to think about us for even a moment, given the long line of people currently waiting to order mouth-watering cakes and coffees from her. The place was manic, and the customers looked dumbfounded as Mrs. B dropped what she was doing to focus all her attention on us. That was what I loved best about Mrs. B, her spontaneity and zest for life. She was a bundle of energy and fun, quite the opposite of my parents, who were more corporate, formal, composed and minimal with the expression of emotion. My parents were typical stuffy suit-wearing lawyers, whereas Mrs. B was warm and affectionate, wore loudly coloured clothing, and her reaction to our results made us both feel immensely special. After all, it was Mrs. B's cakes that had got us through most of our exam revision sessions. "We passed! We got all A grades," I said, as Mrs. B's face changed from worn-out coffee shop owner to proud cat that got the cream. Her eyes filled with tears, and as she wiped her hands on her apron, Eloise and I suddenly found ourselves in a full-on Mrs. B bear hug, smothered with kisses and tears of joy. A bemused American lady pulled out her camera and took a photo of this rather quirky Oxford moment, one to share with her friends at the bridge club when she got back home from her European trip. This image didn't exactly fit with what she had heard about Brits being stiff upper-lipped and emotionally stunted, but she soaked up the scene all the same. It was clear from the grip on Mrs. B's hug that there was going to be a bit of a wait for coffee orders. She was in no rush to move on from this triumphant moment of happiness. "That's my girls! Oh, well done, you two! So clever!" Mrs. B finally and reluctantly released us from her grip and wiped a tear from her eye as she spoke in part to her confused customers. "Did you hear that? They passed! My favourite baristas passed their exams with flying colours." You mean you're only baristas?" I teased with a smile. It hadn't occurred to me until now that Mrs. B would have to find replacements for us until we returned from our gap year abroad. What if we didn't have our jobs to come back to? Mrs. B wouldn't need 4 baristas, surely. I took a deep breath. Something to think about further down the line. I needn't worry about it right now. Eloise was always telling me to chill out and to live in the moment. And right at that moment, there was a loud round of applause as a line of tourists in the queue spontaneously erupted into a congratulatory cheer. As if suddenly remembering that there were actual customers in the coffee shop and that she was supposed to be running a business, Mrs. B ushered us to a table and furnished us with 2 large marshmallow-topped hot chocolates and 2 china plates of assorted tray bakes. Out of habit, we found ourselves jumping up to lend a hand, but Mrs. B would not hear of it, no matter how busy the place was. "She'll be all right without us, won't she?" I asked, tilting my head towards Mrs. B, who was now busy at the counter, rustling up a tuna melt panini for a man in a suit who looked like he'd had a tough day of deadlines. Mrs. B smiled at the man, working her magic, his shoulders dropping the more he relaxed in her presence. He tried hard to move his clenched jaw, eventually managing a flicker of a smile. "That will sort you out," Mrs. B winked at him as he handed over his change. "Oh, she'll be just fine," Eloise replied. And I knew that she was right. Eloise was always right when it came to people. It was one of her gifts. Eloise put her hand inside the pocket of her denim shorts and pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was looking rather shabby now, but I knew instantly what it was. We had written it down during one of our lessons at school when we were 7 years old. We'd had a lecture on careers, and the teacher told us to write down a list of jobs we might like to do when we were grown-ups. We wrote down a list of all the jobs that a private school would want to see, and then focused our attention on the second piece of paper, our actual list, our secret list, our life plan. The one where we decided to become detectives with our very own agency based in Oxford. In a vibrant, people-filled city like this one, there were bound to be a lot of mysteries that needed solving. It made good business sense. Besides, there would be a surplus of doctors, lawyers and accountants if our classmates were anything to go by. So then, Maddie, now we've got phase 1 of our plan ticked off, it's time to focus on business. Eloise already had her game face on and had pulled out her notebook and sparkly pen. "How much have you got saved up so far?" I asked as Eloise flipped through the pages and did some calculations on her phone. Eloise and I had met at kindergarten when we were just 3 years old and had been in the same class at school for our whole lives right up until today. Now we had our exam results, we were done with school forever, and it felt like the end of an era. Our whole lives had been building up to this point, and finally it was real. Sure, we'd made plans and we both knew exactly how much we had saved up, but it was like we had to go over things again just to be certain that it was real, that we weren't just dreaming it. We had planned our careers from an early age. We both loved solving problems and had decided that we would set up our own detective agency in the little premises next to Mrs. Tiggywinkle's coffee shop. We were fortunate to have an allowance from our parents, but we decided to get jobs in the coffee shop so that we could learn about running a business, gain experience in studying people, and save up all the money we needed to buy our own premises after university. Of course, we had never shared our plans with anyone else because the grown-ups would never have taken us seriously, but we continued to work quietly behind the scenes. We opted to become boarders at our private school, even though our families had homes close by. We knew that by boarding, we could invest our time in reading and watching murder mysteries and detective stories together, and get more shifts at the coffee shop without our parents nagging us or asking too many questions. And now that we had both passed our exams, we would be able to have our gap year to earn some money and then come back to Oxford, ready to study at the university on our return. We had 4 years to get everything we needed to open our office, find ourselves some clients, and to build a reputation as private detectives. Eloise would study forensic science and I would study forensic psychology. And that is chapter 2. So we are still in Oxford, but things are about to change. I hope that you enjoyed that. Jesus Estrada, I love donuts. Yes, I love donuts too. You can never have enough donuts in your life, that's for sure. And Dead on Doughnuts has plenty of donuts in, red velvet donuts to be precise. So yes, we'll learn more about the red velvet donuts and about the queen of donut making, Maddie, as well as the book continues. But I hope you really enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll be reading some more chapters. I will finish the whole book, so you'll be able to listen to the whole book here. And yes, and I'm working on Extra Shots, which is book 2 in the series, which will be out soon. And then Cupcake Crime, which is the picture behind me here, which has cupcakes in it. And takes place at the same coffee shop in Val D'Isera in the Austrian ski resort. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed that. And yeah, feel free to follow along, check out my books, and I will be back again soon. No cats today, they're fast asleep, so they'll probably be back soon and awake and harassing me. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!